In a world where nothing is known, nothing is certain, reality is not real. Wake up! Be afraid of nothing. I'm Bob Heskey.
Robert.
The host with the ghost.
This is my podcast, based on my paranormal documentary, Afraid of Nothing. Each episode, we talk to people who see life and the afterlife through a different lens. Join me.
Who is this large man? And what's he doing in our bedroom?
As we lift the veil and open our minds to see beyond our eyes lie. This is Afraid of Nothing.
I am back with two outstanding guests. I caught Monique taking a sip of water. I told her I was going to be going in 3 seconds. I didn't give her the right clearance, but that's okay, Monique. It looked good anyway. So welcome back, Monique Toosoon. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect. And Rob, I mean, I feel like you should move into my house, for God's sakes. This is like the 10th. My goal is to have more podcast episodes with you than you have books, right? You're on your 14th book. This is the 14th book right now. So hopefully we're getting there. And all right, everybody, put the book up. And this is the book. This is called The Haunting of the Hunt Memorial Library. Rob sent me a copy. He dedicated it. His dedication was to me. Monique, I was so heartbroken you didn't dedicate it, but you have a loved one that you dedicate to, which is great. But I finished it today. I read it over several days. I really, this is an interesting book. This is a book that the Hunt Memorial Library was just supposed to be a book signing, right? For the other book, The Haunting of Emery Estate, which you both were on prior. But then some stuff happened and fate and ghost wanted something else. And it became into, maybe not as many ghosts, Rob, as you've seen at other places, but there were 3 spirits, George, James, and Oscar. Sounds like a UK rock band, but there are some interesting stories that came out of that. And both of you together were really able to pick apart the mystery, so to speak, and what was the story in each of them. So that's what this book is about. But let's talk about kind of, when did you know that, oh my God, this is more than a book signing. This is going to be another book in this place. I'll start with you first, Monique.
Oh, well, I tend to turn every event with Rob into a book lately because Rob tends to take a bajillion notes while you're ghost hunting with him. I don't know if you've ever been ghost hunting with Rob, but it's like he's always writing. He's like nonstop writing notes the whole time. So I think Rob writes a notebook or a total book while he's grocery shopping because he's just always taking notes. I bet he's in the grocery store just writing notes down. But, there was no intention there, right? We went there with zero intention of a book coming out of this event. And it was an hour long it was just a really short public investigation, like not even a full night one, like an hour and a half or 2 hours. It was really quick. And it was just a mini thing that we did after our book party. And the book party was for our first book. And on the way there, I was drawn to a cemetery, which we talk about later in the book. But the book party ended up turning into a multiple spirit situation.
And so that was your first time there, right? It was one of your clients. So you own, do you own a salon? What do you call it? You own a business, Monique, and one of your clients, this kind of came up as an opportunity when another one didn't quite pan out. And this was a blessing in disguise, right?
Yeah, she was like, I have a haunted building in Nashua. It's creepy. She's like, come and do this event there. She's like, I'll donate it to you guys for the night. And she did. And we went there and it ended up being everything she said it was, right? I mean, we had a pretty awesome book party.
Wow. And Rob, and then I should have had you introduce yourself first, but let's go back. Rob, what was your impression when you walked into the Hunt Memorial Library? Did you think, oh boy, this is going to be something special here?
I did. I already sensed that there were a couple of ghosts walking around in there and just uncovering their identities. And we actually had to go back a second time because Monique and I ran out of time we had a public investigation for the first part with the book signing. There were like 20 people. And then she and I had to go back and meet with Amy, who manages the facility, and we had to address the third ghost. So there wasn't enough time in the first place to take care of all of them.
Well, a lot of times to unravel a mystery of ghosts, you got to go back a couple times, and I think you did. And you even went across the street for dinner. It's a nice excuse for a write-off to go to dinner to actually see if any other ghosts. So we go into that. But you both have a pretty cool collaborative dynamic going on. It's only been probably 18 months or a couple years. Monique, you're kind of the tech wizard, and you called yourself a small on our last call. When I asked if you were a medium, you said you were a small, which I thought was very clever. And Rob's a medium that's been an investigator. He's a pet psychic, pretty well known author, a lot of best-selling books. I'll let you each talk about what the other brings to the table, all right? So, Monique, why don't you talk about when you and Rob do these events, what does Rob bring to the table that you think is really cool and unique?
Well, Rob has upgraded me from a small to a medium rare. So I've been upgraded by Rob a couple of podcasts ago. But what Rob brings to the table is the gift of his mediumship is outstanding. Like, my mind is always blown by how in touch with the other side Rob is. But I'm mostly blown away by somebody who is so easy to note take and turn an experience into something that everyone can share after an event. You know, for me, taking notes, like, I wouldn't even be able to enjoy the experience or be part of it because my brain is so heavily focused on other things. Like, so that is the magic of Rob to me. Watching Rob do his scientist work and then also still be able to be a medium that's present for guests at an event, you know, that's the magic of Rob.
And Rob, you've bragged to me about Monique a lot off camera at different times. Tell us about, you know, what people can expect when you do an event with Monique and kind of what really blew you away about her.
Oh my gosh, everything. I mean, there's so many things. First of all, she knows how to coordinate an activity. Secondly, she knows how to manage an activity, and she knows how to get people interested in what we're doing and get them involved. She knows everything about technology involved with paranormal investigating. Everything. I mean, I'm blown away by all the equipment. I have never seen so many different pieces of equipment in my life. The other thing, the most important thing, is Monique's personality and her energy opens up the doorway for any earthbound ghosts to want to communicate with her. Because most times when people go on paranormal investigations, they're very solemn or they're even grumpy. Monique brings life and energy, and it's just a wonderful change of pace. And the ghosts thrive on that positive emotional energy.
So, Monique, as a medium rare, you don't get to feel how ghost style, like you don't get, you know, hung from a rope or shot in the chest or on fire or anything. You don't have to get those joys that Rob has. Is that accurate?
I don't get a lot of that stuff, but there are things that are surprising me lately, and most of them have been happening when Rob's around, like at Hunt Memorial Library when we were taking on the tour of that building, and Rob and I both immediately look at each other at the same time and are having the exact same sensation that something is wrong with our right leg. Mine's gone. Mine's missing. It's completely missing. Rob's is tingling. He is going to fall over. And we're looking at each other. How are we both getting this sensation right now? And I don't always get that stuff. I get small things here and there, but that was one of the most powerful ones. And we figured that out later.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is an Afraid of Nothing paranormal podcast alert.
$10 merch. $10 merch.
That's right, podcast fans. If you go to our website, afraidofnothingpodcast.com, and click on the store tab, you too can find now $10 merch on the website. So not only can you get the great stuff like the hoodies and the t-shirts and the blankets and the glasses, you can also get stickers and bumper stickers and, well, a whole lot more. You need to see it yourself. But just remember this.
$10 merch
is now available at the Afraid of Nothing podcast store. Check it out. And remember, never be afraid to look good.
Yeah, that's I got to tell you, I really liked how you organized the book. And Rob, you're in the past you've done drawing. I think your artistic capabilities have gotten even better. I really liked a lot of the drawings in this book. I thought they're very good, and I really like how you organized it and you broke it up in terms of and here's how it started, and here's Monique's view, and here's what happened when these people went outside of the room, and this and that. So how challenging, because this book seemed a little bit different in how you organized it versus other ones I've read. So how challenging was it to organize, something that really was a multifaceted story?
Well, I really tried to look at it as a timeline, the sequence of events and how that happened. And the second half of the book, which is mostly about the third ghost on the second floor, was an investigation in itself. So that lent itself to being the last chapter anyway. But really, it was the timeline. I always like to set up a book by giving historical facts about the place, things that we wouldn't know when we go in. Like it was built in 1901. It stopped being a library in 1971, and another library was built. There was another building on the same floor. On the same site that was torn down or moved to another site across the street. We had no idea about any of that stuff. So I like to set the stage so that people know once they read the beginning, how these other things fall into place and what they mean as we go along. Things that Monique and I wouldn't know when we're in the investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a scientist, but you don't overwhelm us with scientists. You make it so that we can follow along at home, which is really nice, and I really appreciated that. I noticed in the book there seemed to be am I correct in saying these were transient spirits that didn't kind of maybe were in the building but ended going there, the three different spirits? Is that accurate? Like one was hurt in the construction of it. Another one would go in and have, go up to the upstairs stacks and do whatever. And then another one, it was not the library, but it was another place. It was before it was the library. So how do you even piece all that stuff together? That's a lot of different stuff, to figure out.
Well, the transient ghosts, there's definitely two of them were transient. One of them was more library related, but, that was kind of kept to ourselves a little bit more. The transient ghosts, though, came through that night. That was this investigation. And the first one came through in the basement. And then the second one that was attached to the building that used to be there, that was the really unique experience of the night for me, because it was an odd story and it unfolded in front of 20 guests. Right. And it unfolded with multiple mediums. It unfolded with a guest who didn't know she was sensitive. It unfolded like in the weirdest way. And we were kind of like, this is the weird, like, do we make a book about this story? Because it is like an odd story. It's not a normal ghost story.
And there was another one that was a friend that showed up, right? Of one of the guests that showed up, correct? So there was another one as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah. So that, Bob, was a spirit. A spirit is what I call have crossed over into the light, and a ghost is an earthbound entity. And it was so odd because we were talking to Oscar, and suddenly this woman came in, this young girl, and I felt the back of my head get hit. And I'm like, what in the world is that? And then she told me the name Sandy. And when I said that out loud, I call them girls because I'm old, but they were three young ladies, and they were sitting there and they gasped. And they knew who it was, because one of the young ladies recently lost one of her close friends in a car accident, and the woman died from blunt force trauma against the back of her head. So wow. She used the opportunity of all of these mediums in here to come through to give her friend some solace and let her know that she's okay on the other side. And that was totally out of nowhere.
Didn't her friend kind of say a little prayer or something before saying, hey, can you give us a sign? And then how early? Was that like in the opening when you guys get everybody together and you're kind of laying down the ground rules? When did this fourth ghost show up?
Oh, she was in the middle. She was in the middle when we were dealing with Oscar.
Yeah, that was at the exact same time, actually. And Sandy is actually one of my best friend's moms. that came ghost hunting, and she was there with her group of friends, and that was a friend they had lost in that car accident. And they had said before they came to that event that they were calling upon her to come through because it was recent that it had happened, and they were all still pretty raw from it.
Yeah, that's it. How do you've done a couple of these events, more than a couple. How do you set it up? Monique, are you the master of ceremonies and Rob does the color commentary, or how would you set up this event or typical event? So I would imagine watching this podcast, people would want to go and see you both in action at other places. So what can they expect when they go to an event that you and Rob put on?
Yeah, I'm just super OCD, so I'm organized about stuff. And I do an event, I do the tickets, I do everything. I advertise, I share on Facebook, I sell out the tickets, I bring all the equipment, I provide the food. I am organized so much. I have when you get there, I'm going to give you an equipment class. I'm going to introduce you to my team. You're going to know everything about them. We're going to do a history tour. We're going to ghost hunt in small groups and then alternate the groups around. So each group gets different investigative teams, because I don't like just people to experience one team either. I like that they can experience multiple things, because not everyone ghost hunts the same way. And the way I ghost hunt with Rob might not be the way somebody wants to ghost hunt. And, it's great to have that other option there. And then, that's what I do. I do all this organizing, but Rob brings the paper book. He brings the talent. He is a big part of it. And you do a lot of the stuff online as well. You do a lot of the advertising as well. And you do events.
I got to say, when you moved, I saw a head behind you, but that's just your chair, I guess, right? That's your seat behind. Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
it's Elvira.
Okay. It's like, what? My God, something's coming through, yeah. And you also invited so it was a really kind of interesting mixed group. You had other paranormal investigators there, as well as, you keep it, I think, to like 20 or so people, because then you want to give them, like in a college class, the right attention and make it not too distracting. So, Rob, I'll turn it to you, really. Who were the other paranormal investigators that were there with you that night?
Oh, they're all Monique's friends. Alora Huey, and she is a medium, and David Childers, who is tech whiz. The Power Clauses, Candace and Derek Fetters. He is a tech whiz, and she is a medium. And am I missing anybody, Monique?
I think that was the whole team for the night. Yeah. And the Power Clauses are in the first book as well.
Yes.
They were at Emery. And so they are one of the 3 teams in the book.
So they were, Rob, they were also with you at the S.K. Pierce Haunted Victorian. Monique, you were there too, right? The S.K. Pierce Haunted Victorian Mansion.
That was her event.
Yeah. Wow.
I always just come along, Bob. I'm just kind of.
All right.
No, you are my co-host. You're a co-host. You're definitely doing half the work with me for sure.
So, Monique, you're kind of known as a spiritual battery, right? I think, is that accurate? I've heard that before about you, and I think Rob alluded to it. So going to a place like in Nashua, the Hunt Memorial Library, that's a historic landmark, how does like going to a cemetery versus a place like this versus something else, how does that affect what equipment you bring?
I bring everything. I'm one of those people that if something's not working, get rid of it. Bring something else in really quick. That's why I always have such a plethora with me. I have like 4 or 5 pieces that I always have in a basket by my side, because they always work for me, but I always bring unique items as well. Like if we're going to a place where there's spirits of children, I'm going to bring toys. I have a Scooby-Doo REM pod. I have, balls that can roll across the floor. I have Matchbox cars that can be pushed and they'll light up. I'll bring light up things, but you bring what you're going to deal with energy, but always bring a lot of things, because sometimes they don't want to play with this or that. And they are very specific about what they want to interact with.
Well, at a place like this, where 3 different spirits, what worked? Or was it different based on the type of spirits that you came across?
Mostly Phasma box. We did a lot of Phasma box, a lot of mediumship, of course. Mediums are one of my favorite tools to use in investigations, because they go alongside with the equipment. They confirm what the equipment's getting. The equipment's confirming what the mediums are getting. It's like a hand-in-hand thing for me. So mediums are my number 1 tool. But that night, Phasma box dowsing rods were amazing there as well. We always have really good luck with dowsing rods. Tripwire is another one that tends to be very good. And I think we had the bell that night as well, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the only other piece of equipment I think that we really had going off that night.
Some of the people in the audience, some of the public investigators had the K2 meters, I think, as well.
Yeah. And we did Estes method as well, where we sent people away. And yeah, someone got Oliver while we were getting Oliver, which was really cool because Oscar.
Oscar. I was going to say there's a fourth ghost or a fifth ghost.
No, Oscar. Yeah. So, and someone else had gotten that in another room when we were getting it in another, it was so cool that that all was like bumping together and it happened in front of everybody, which is.
Yeah. And Derek Fedder's got it on his app. He has an app that he uses.
Spirit
and
Talker.
Oscar came through. So he was a third confirmation for the name Oscar.
Yep.
Wow. And what was the order of appearance? Was James the first one or what? And maybe we should give a little, you don't want to give too much in the book, but maybe a little personality of what these entities are and kind of what was, most challenging or unique about them. Monique, I'll start with you first. So what was the first one that showed up when you guys, and I think you got everybody together. I forget what room it was in, but everybody's sitting around and you're kind of, giving the overview.
Yeah. So James was the first ghost we encountered, and we encountered James on the tour. James was the leg. And that's the picture in the book as well that Rob drew. So James was the feeling in the leg we were getting, and James was the first spirit that came through in the basement as well. But James was not communicating a lot when people were around. I think we were overwhelming him with the largeness of our group. So we got a lot of James like in more direct one-on-one stuff than we did when we were in the group together. And then the second spirit was Oscar, and Rob, you can take over.
So Oscar turned out to be connected to the tavern building, the building that used to sit on that site and was moved across the street and is now a restaurant. And that building in the 60s, I believe it was the 60s, was a brothel. So there's a little tie there, but he, I call him the lovelorn ghost because he stayed behind because he was in search of the love of his life. And that's something that really made Monique and I really want to help him and cross him over. And when you read that chapter in the book, The Haunting of Emery Library, you'll see how much it took to do that crossing. And I was so impressed by the people in the public that were around there because they were all quiet, they were all concentrating, they were all lending their energy to us to open a doorway for him and hopefully tried to bring him to a happy ending.
And did that I'm trying to remember, was that done on that first night or was that a couple, you had to go back for that? One of the ghosts you had to go back for. Was that the other one, the one in the stacks up on the main floor? George?
Yeah, so Oscar was the first night with the public. And George was the second go round that we went in.
He's a creepy guy. You don't want your, you don't want your daughters around when you bring them to the library, right? Or all right, I don't want to give that too much away of that, but yeah.
Was there really good dowsing rod session with George?
Yeah. And was there any place in the building that, sometimes in a building you don't want to go somewhere, right? Rob, you said like, I can't go in there. Was there any place in the Hunt Memorial Library that you both really got the willies or got sick to your stomach or anything, or were all the rooms pretty much, agreeable?
Well, Monique didn't like the boiler room.
I was going to say that's going to come up. It's going to come up. The boiler room messed me up bad. And this was something where my medium rare ability came into play. And we were in this boiler room and all I kept doing was I was so focused on my fingernail being ripped off. It was like I kept feeling my fingernail being ripped off. And it was just like, it ended up coming out that it was like probably a woman who fell and like ripped her nail on the wall by accident. But it was so traumatizing to her. And I am somebody that is traumatized by nails. Like I went to hair school, but when I had to touch people's fingernails, I would leave. I hate fingernails. It's one of those things. So to feel that like a fingernail's being ripped off of me, I was skeeved out so bad. And I'm like, why is it doing it to me? Leave me alone. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's in the book too. There's a whole chapter about the fingernail.
Yeah. It's funny because James like died in a construction accident, I think. Right. Yeah. And that was when you had the leg thing, but that bothered you less than the fingernail being ripped. Yeah. Probably that would be a lot of people too, quite frankly, Monique. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah. It turned her hair white in the front there.
Seriously. Yes.
That's funny.
No fingernails, please.
So let's talk about haunted objects. I mean, there are some paintings in there, right? One in particular, and I looked in the book. I'm so glad you put the pictures in the book. You're probably looking for that too. The Ben Franklin picture, and you had mentioned it as I first looked at it. I was like, wait a minute, this is kind of like it's not like proportional, right? Like the hands are huge and the head's small, and it's like, it's almost, it was like an Edward Gorey painting or something, where it's just kind of elongated body. But what was the story of the two paintings in there, and one in particular that had some weird mojo going with it?
Yeah, so I'll hold it up for you. This is it.
Yep.
In all the pictures and portraits I've seen of Ben Franklin, he's kind of a stout guy.
Yeah.
But this guy was totally gaunt. he was spindly, he was gaunt. And I was like, and the proportions were wrong. Like the hands were not the right size as in proportion with the head and the leg and so forth. So we found out that painting was done as a collaboration, like a test painting by all these different painters. And some of the painters were pretty ticked off when they were doing it because they left some negative energy on there.
Was that a print or was that the original painting or what was on display?
I think that was the original painting.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was really weird, but it was just very negative.
And did you uncover anything out of that, or you just picked up something and to be dealt with? We've got 3 ghosts. We've got enough to deal with tonight. What was the?
Yeah. The main thing that I picked up was one of the painters was very angry that that he couldn't do the entire portrait himself.
Was it the one who did the hands? Is that what the because the hands were? I'm glad they didn't have to do the whole portrait. You wouldn't have enough space, on the can because the hands were pretty huge, right on that pic.
Yeah.
Have you ever had experiences before, Monique or Rob, with objects like that, like a painting that was like, ooh, there's something in there? Have you ever in any of the places you've gone to?
Well, in Emery, Monique connected to the furniture. What was
the mirror? It's mirrors with me. I have 2 haunted mirrors in the room I'm in currently that I've taken from people who are like, I don't like this mirror. It's done bad things here. And I'm like, I'll take it home.
Oh my God.
It's always a mirror, but this mirror, Emery was one of those, but I've had other haunted objects too that have been kind of odd, but now I can't think of it. I came home from an event one time. This was the weirdest thing for me with an object. I went to Edinburgh Manor in Iowa, or Edinburgh, whatever. Same something, mental hospital. Came home, my luggage, clean it out, find 2 puzzle pieces in there. No clue where they came from. There's a puzzle in the manor in my photos. And it's the same color pieces. So I somehow have pieces from this manor. I didn't ghost hunt in there, in that room where the puzzle was. I did a tour and walked through it where I took a video and photos, but never went into that room the rest of the event. Nothing. My bags never were in that room, but I somehow ended up with these puzzle pieces. And now they're somewhere behind me on this wall. But craziest thing about an object.
Are they from the actual puzzle? Are they missing those pieces now? Do you know, or is there now?
It wasn't completely assembled, but they matched the puzzle completely.
Okay,
so they look like they're it's a snow puzzle with 2 red birds in it, and the color is it's unmistakable. It is absolutely the puzzle pieces.
So one thing that was really cool, we won't go into it, but we won't go to a deep dive because we want them to buy the book and read it, but because you cover it very well in the book, was crossing spirits over. It was one on the same night, but there's twice that you did that. Maybe you can talk at a high level as comfortable as you are about, because you're dealing with investigators and the public. How do you pull that off with that mix of people to cross a spirit over? And Rob, I think you took the lead on that, right? You were the main guy that would kind of coach
you
people.
Explain that. That is you. It's you.
So yes. So in the beginning of any event, I always talk about how the science of energy fills in the gaps and explains everything. So in order to open a doorway to the other side, we need to combine all the emotional energies in the room. Emotional energy serves as an energy that an earthbound ghost can use, and we can use it to open a doorway if we have enough energy. So what I asked everybody to do when it came to Oscar was to concentrate and focus their emotional energies around us. So Monique and I got all of the other paranormal investigators in a circle, and we held hands, and we combined our emotional energies, and we concentrated, and I narrated that, we're focusing on a certain area, we're trying to open a doorway, and that's what we did. With the ghosts on the third floor, it was only Monique and I and Amy. So we had a lot less energy, but
you had a skylight, right? That a skylight in the city. Yeah.
We had a skylight, and fortunately it was a sunny day, so we were drawing on the energy.
It was in here.
It was in here to help.
I don't know if you heard the Big Bang.
I did.
It was all my books. All the Amazon boxes just fell over on the other side.
Really? Wow. Jeez.
All of them.
Oh my God.
Books.
It's one of those haunted mirrors you have in there, Monique.
We were just talking about them. And literally they're piled up right in front of one of the haunted mirrors.
Oh.
It's so fun, and Rob, I'm sorry, get right back to it, but I was told you shouldn't put a mirror in a bedroom. But you do. You're fearless about that, Monique, right?
I have a mirror on the side of the bed I sleep on that faces me while I'm sleeping, which is probably really stupid. I'm not afraid of mirrors. I can scry in them, so I can look through mirrors and see things through them, which kind of used to upset me, but now I'm starting to love it. And I'm starting to love the haunted mirror thing. And that the one in Emery made me fall in love with it a little bit because it was a love story, not a scary story, So I took the scariness out of the mirror and put, the happiness back into it. So putting positivity in there and knowing that they're not all going to be bad.
Well, all right, Rob. Sorry, I did a sidetrack there, but back to you about the, we were talking about in the stacks up on the third floor, and it was just you and Monique and Amy, but there was a skylight, and I think the skylight was almost like a fourth presence to help out, right? Or
that was that was an energy source for the ghost up there, and that's why he was active. And frankly, we only knew about him because Amy said that whenever she would, on the first floor, go by that stairway, she would see a man looking down at her. So that's why we went back up to investigate that guy. One interesting thing about the third floor ghost, and this just only happened a couple of times, he did not want his identity to be known. And because he said it would ruin his reputation and it would affect adversely his family, because he knew what he did in those stacks was not right. So we had to go with the name George. Was it, Monique, was it you or was it Amy that came up with George?
I feel like it was Amy, but I don't remember, but I feel like it was Amy.
So I remember during the dowsing rod session that you were holding the dowsing rods, and you asked him, is his name really George? And it said no.
Yeah.
And he said, are you going to tell us your real name? And he said no.
Yeah. So we just called him George, which then turned into a funny visit to a cemetery later.
I was going to say, because on the way you passed the cemetery, right, Monique? I don't know if we said it before we hit live. And then you went back there, and there are a lot of Georges in that cemetery, apparently.
We parked right next to one.
Rob did. 3.
Yeah.
So
that was crazy in the cemetery.
That was his way of confirming that we had helped him. But what's interesting to me is that, normally cemeteries aren't haunted at all. And this cemetery wasn't haunted. It was that a spirit, once you crossed over on the other side, he led us into that cemetery, and he influenced me because I was driving. He influenced me where to stop. So as soon as I got out the door, there were 3 tombstones right next to the driver's side that said George, George, and George. And I thought,
yeah,
wow.
Was that a last name or was that a first name? Do you know?
First names.
Wow. Okay, now that's weird.
And we used dowsing rods, and they led us to more George graves too. So I believe the first night it was the building's way of saying, we've got the conclusion to your book. Come back next week when you do the rest of the story. So I think it was just drawing us back there because we only went back there for that reason. And we went back after, the second half of the book. We didn't go there the night of the book party. We went there later. So it was so much funnier that this whole George thing happened and the 100 graves of George.
Wow. And so the second time you went, we were just the three of you. That was kind of the George, to figure out the George stuff. Oscar, you kind of got mostly on the first night, I think. And then you went back at one point across the street to a restaurant, the Tavern, right? I don't know if it's still called that, but there's a restaurant to kind of check it out. And kind of had great food, great service, but really nothing until Rob went to a restroom and noticed something, right, Rob?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a woman standing behind me in the man's restroom, and I'm like, what? and then she disappeared.
Wow.
But I kind of figured out who she was. But interestingly enough, we wanted to really go in that building and explore up above because we got the number of a room that was tied to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That we encountered in the Hunt Memorial Library, but we couldn't. The restaurant doesn't allow that kind of thing, unfortunately. So we just have to leave that open ended. But yeah, there was a ghost at lunch. So.
Oh, I hope it was after you ate, so your stomach wasn't too unsettled after. By the way, do they have good food? Is there a plug we should throw here? What did you guys have at this? I mean, let's throw that out. What did you guys? I'm just curious. Remember you guys had to eat at that restaurant?
No.
No? Okay.
That was a while ago.
All right.
Last summer, last spring, last April.
Too many. I have certain restaurants where I like certain dishes and they get the same thing all the time. I'm one of these boring guys that goes out to a restaurant. There's one thing in the book, Rob, that I didn't know before. And I thought it was very interesting. It was the battery aspect of ghosts. If they stayed in a place, and that really affected Oscar. If you stayed in a place too long, the door closes and you need help from people like you and Monique to give them the energy to move to the other side. And I was not aware of that, but it made sense once I read the book.
Yeah, thanks. So it was about 2 summers ago that I was wondering why in the world can ghosts not cross over on their own? And when I thought about them as being energy, then I thought about them as being a house, something that houses energy, like a battery. And over time, like a battery, the charge wears down. And when it wears down to a certain level, which we don't know, they lose that ability to open the doorway or make the toy move or, turn the flashlight on. So I had to look at it from a scientific perspective. And to me, that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought it made a lot of sense too. I know you have a very full night, Monique, so I just want to go a couple of quick questions to go. This is the 14th book, Rob, for you, the second collaboration with Monique. Mm-hmm. What is, every experience is something unique that you'll remember from it. What will you both remember from this book, that you makes it a little bit distinct from the other books? And Monique, I know there's 2, but you've done a lot. You've been to a lot of different places. I'll start with you first, Monique, and then I'll go to Rob. What about this experience will stick with you, and you'll say, God, I remember that, and I'm going to tell people about this for a long time.
And I can compare this to 2 other investigations now, because we've had 2 other potential books pop up. Well, we have one that's already turning into another book, but another one that may be in the future. But this one specifically was so special because it led us multiple places. Like, we were in a restaurant, we were in a cemetery, and it was an accidental thing. It wasn't a planned, well, I guess it was a planned event, but it wasn't a planned book. It wasn't a planned heavy investigative night. It just turned into such a blessing for us. It turned into a great storytelling night.
Rob, anything you would add to that?
The thing that makes it the most memorable for me is working with Monique. Because I am just astounded by her talent, her professionalism, her showmanship, her organization. And I am so honored to be her friend. I just love her to death. And I can't wait to publish more of our adventures together and share these with the world, because the world needs to know how these paranormal investigations work and how the paranormal works. And together, Monique and I are trying to bring that gift to everybody.
And we're doing it without, the color black all over us. And we're doing it with unique tools and unique trigger objects. And we're doing it with a really good team of investigators that we've compiled.
And you're involving people. You're involving other paranormal. You're not like, it's not like you're aware of the highway. You're inviting people. You're open in terms of who are involved and in the public as well. And so everyone can learn and benefit. And I think that's great. I certainly will be plugging this in the show notes, but we'll close with Monique. Anything you want to let people know that's coming up in the next couple of months that they should be, or your website or your podcast or anything like that you want to promote?
Yeah, absolutely. MoniqueToosoon.com. All my events are there. I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but I'll be in New Jersey at the Ritz Theater coming up. I will be at the Linville Manor with Rob doing an event. And then I will also be doing another event with Rob in April at AlterCon in Atlantic City, where we'll be investigating the Absecon Lighthouse together.
Wow, I love my father. He's still with us, thank God. He was a painter, and when he retired, he just painted, and he used to love painting lighthouses, and so there's something about that always drew his attention. So, Rob, I think Monique covered some of the stuff you have coming up. Anything else you want to talk about, or the next book in the series, or what about your website?
So she did. So the Linville Manor, by the way, will have a public investigation aspect to it, and so will the Absecon Lighthouse in New Jersey. So March and April, people can join us and see how we work. Yes. So I already am working on our next book. I'm actually working on 3 books at the same time: Pets in the Afterlife 5, Kindred Spirits 2, and our next Haunting of series. One big thing that I don't know if you know this or not, Bob, but I decided finally to stop doing pet readings.
I saw that.
After 20 years. Honestly, that's an important thing to announce, because for 20 years I've been absorbing everybody's grief and pain and loss, and it wears you down. I'm kind of tired of crying every single night when I'm connecting to a dog or cat or horse or bird or whatever. And that's why I wrote the Pets in the Afterlife book, so people can teach themselves. So yeah, we have more books coming together. We have so many events to do, and I want the public to join us on some of these, because you will never meet another paranormal investigator as awesome as Monique on any of these investigations. And it's really
and Rob and Monique are both awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they make a great, and Monique's the organized one. She's the battery, spiritual battery. Rob is the medium who's helping elevate Monique as well. So, and they're very inclusive, and they make an experience for everyone, so everyone gets something out of it. So I have to go to one of your events. I was interested in doing the Gardner one, the SK Pierce. I'm right down the street, but I couldn't go that night for whatever reason, even though I'm very close. But I would love to go to one of your events in the future as well. So thank you both.
We
I would love
dedicated the book to you.
I know you did. I know, and I know how you feel about Monique, so I feel very blessed that you dedicated to it. So thank you so much. Much success and much fun and good spirit to both of you. And I know you have a couple more interviews tonight, Monique, and Rob, you have one more. Just have a wonderful year, 2026. Hope everything, all your cards fall in your place. Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Afraid of Nothing podcast. Please subscribe and like us on Facebook. Until next time, stay scared.
Hey, you're still here? Great. Then why not listen to another episode? Visit afraidofnothingpodcast.com to peruse all the shows. That's afraidofnothingpodcast.com. And while you're there, click the coffee cup icon to buy me a coffee and leave a review. I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming episode. and the world will know how swell you are.